Hey viewers, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm aboard my CFMOTO 800MT Touring Limited Edition, and I don't know if you can see, but it's sitting at 19,998 kilometers. So in probably just under 2 kilometers down the road, I'll hit 20,000 kilometers, or I think that equates to about 12,500 miles. So I just wanted to give you my thoughts and opinions of what it's been like to own this bike, good and bad. Hopefully you can tell that it's unbiased. Over the last 21 months and 20,000 kilometers. So yeah, let's hit the road. I'll wait for these cars to go first. So this was for me very much of an experiment in many ways about firstly owning an adventure bike, or an adventure touring bike, which I think is probably the more apt description, and secondly what it was like to own a Chinese made bike, given that I'd come off 2 Triumphs which were made in Thailand, which were pretty good. I mean, I wasn't entirely happy with them, if I'm being honest, but they were mostly pretty good. And my wife owns an Indian made Royal Enfield, so very much an international game these days. And anyway, so to go through some of the goods, the positive aspects of this bike, it's been pretty reliable, other than a couple of things that I'll touch on when I get to some of the negatives. This bike has conveyed me from here over to Perth, which is about 4,500 kilometers, and then I've just done a return trip to Sydney, which I think I couldn't even tell you how many kilometers that was actually. Must have been about 2,000 by the time I took some alternative routes and went the scenic way. So it's been, for the most part, like for the bread and butter, getting you to places, it's been incredibly reliable. The engine hasn't skipped a beat. I feel like it's gotten more and more smooth as time has gone on, and yeah, I love it. Like many people, I struggled with the jerkiness to begin with, and to be honest, I still do sometimes. If I'm feeling fatigued, it can be a little bit overwhelming, but then when you get it into territory like this, where it's nice and twisty and that twitchiness becomes responsiveness, it's actually a really fun experience to ride this bike and play with this little engine. And the engine has been a positive. I know a lot has been said about the reliability of these engines, especially in its KTM cousin, but yeah, I'm pleased to say it's given me no grief at all. The engine has been solid as a rock. The things that really stood out for me when I bought this bike were the value for money in terms of the features that you get for the price, and they've been the cruise control, the heated grips, heated seat, what else? They're probably the big standouts. I love tubeless rims on spoked rims, which is awesome, because I wanted nothing to do with tubes ever again, having come from those on my Bonneville, and having had those on Mel's classic 350. Not having to deal with any of that stuff, or having that functionality has been really good. I've said before, Australia's a big place, and sometimes there's just no option other than to grind out the kilometers to get to where you want to go, and to have the cruise control and the comforts of the heated seat and heated grip, and also all this bodywork that comes with the bike is fantastic. The crash bars have come in incredibly handy. I haven't crashed per se, but I've dropped the bike I think 4 times now, and that's also from a product of it being so cheap, is I've been willing to get out there and try things and carry huge amounts of luggage around. And explore Australia on it. So and the crash bars have protected everything from any damage whatsoever. So they've been as solid as a rock. Even the plastic hand guards have been plenty good enough. I haven't felt the need to replace them with bark busters for the time being. They've been good. I've never had a bent lever or anything like that. Mind you, I've only ever dropped it at, you know, very, very low speed. Like I'm talking almost at a standstill, doing very slow speed maneuvers. What else? Oh, it's comfort. This is the touring edition. They call these adventure bikes, but like I said, it's adventure touring. And I rode this for 12 days straight to get to Perth, and it was so comfortable. There was only 1 or 2 days where I was like, I've got to get off this thing. I can't do this anymore. And the adjustability of the suspension helps with that, but just the seating position, I could probably go, being someone who's 6 foot tall, 6'1", I could probably go a little bit taller, something that gives my leg angle, makes it a little bit more stretched out. And I definitely benefited in that trip from having a higher windscreen, which would be helpful now with all these bugs. So yeah, there's some of the really big positives for me. Some of the niggles, so I would say these are not the biggest problems, but some of the problems I've had is my indicator button broke when I was on the way to Perth, and both of the mounts attaching the driving lights on each side are snapped, and I had to epoxy those back on. But I never really, that was never a huge inconvenience. It was just something that happened and I fixed it, and it's not really been a problem again. I wish it hadn't happened, but it's not a game changer. Like I mentioned before, I wish that the windscreen was taller, or had the option of going just that little bit higher, because I did buy an aftermarket one for my trip to Perth, and it was just so much better suited to my height. And having gone to Sydney using the stock one, it just made me realise how much more comfortable I was with the higher screen. What else? I wish the access to adjust the rear suspension, the preload on the rear suspension, was a little bit better, because as it is, it's pretty inconvenient. So that would be a welcome change. A remote adjuster would be ideal, or even just a panel that was more easily removed to get in there would be fantastic. Anyway, on to the negatives, the things that people are probably hanging out to hear. There haven't been many. Overwhelmingly, this has been it's probably been my favourite bike to own, even over and above my Triumph, which a lot of people don't like to hear. but it's a good bike. Some negatives, the biggest negative for me has been having to deal with the after sales service through either CFMOTO and the dealer network. It's been an absolute pain in the ass. So this Friday I'm getting the fuel sender replaced again. I've had it replaced once before. If you're a follower of my channel, you'll know about that saga. I went to a dealer in Pakenham who bitched and moaned about having to do it because I didn't buy the bike off them, and because they reckon that CFMOTO didn't pay them enough to do it as a job. And when they did do it, I'm pretty sure that they snapped, they over-torqued some bolts for this part of the plastic here and cracked the plastic, so now it's really only tension that's holding this in place. And yeah, with getting it replaced again, I asked CFMOTO if I could get it done at a different dealer, and they teed me up with a dealer in Ringwood who have been pretty good, to be honest with you. It's just Ringwood's 2 hours away from my place, and they called me when I was in holiday up in Sydney, exactly 1 month after ordering the part in. So I'd been down there, they checked to see that the one that I had in there was faulty. They sent me home. They told me that both my original fuel sender and the one it was replaced with were from a faulty batch, so that wasn't great. And they sent me home, and I waited exactly 1 month for that part to come in, and then they called me while I was in holiday in Sydney with my family, and they said, we need you to come back ASAP to get that fitted, because otherwise we're going to send the part back to CFMOTO, because that's part of our agreement, is that we can only hold on to stock designated for warranty repairs for so long. And I was kind of like, well, so I have to wait 1 month for the part to get here, but you can't wait more than a week for me to get home from a holiday? Like, I'm literally interstate. So it's been pretty frustrating. People have criticised me for calling out CFMOTO as well as the dealers, but in both these circumstances, it seems that CFMOTO's policies, whether it be about having to return parts that are assigned to warranty repairs, or whether or not it's about paying dealers what they think is a fair amount for undertaking these warranty repairs, it seems like there's a disagreement or a lack of communication that just needs to be sorted out, because at the end of the day, it's been me, the consumer, that has to put up with the shit every time. And honestly, it has been shit. So if you were to ask me right now, would I buy another CFMOTO? If you base it solely on the motorbike, solely on this thing and the enjoyment I have riding it, then in a heartbeat. If I had a CFMOTO dealer in my town who was, you know, family owned, good people, then in a heartbeat I would buy another one. But as it stands, the dealer network that I've had face-to-face dealings with has been absolutely horrendous. You know, to give you an example, my Nissan Navara, its warranty runs out in March, and it needs a stack of work at the moment, and Nissan were just like, we'll order in all the parts, we'll get it in for 3 days, we'll give you a car for those 3 days so you're not inconvenienced. And it's just been set and forget. They're just like, we'll get it done, no hassles, no whinging, no bitching, just we'll get it done. And perhaps that just goes to show you how established brands like Nissan, who have been around forever, just have more cemented processes when it comes to, you know, brands like CFMOTO, who are just establishing a foothold in the automotive industry in Australia. But all in all, it's a super enjoyable bike. It's sportier than you think it would be. It handles better than my Triumph Sprint ST, and I would say it's definitely more manageable. It's more comfortable than my Bonneville ever was. And if they did some work on their after sales service and they had a better dealership network, then I'd definitely buy another one. As is, you know, things like the MTX is a tempting prospect because I've loved dabbling my feet into the off-road stuff, and the MTX just seems like it's a little bit better equipped for that. But for me, I'm not going to risk it. If something goes wrong, I don't see my local dealership network, the dealers that I have access to, having their proverbial together to be able to sort out my needs without me having to take days off work and, you know, drop everything at a moment's notice to schedule everything around their timetable rather than sort of meeting me halfway, which is all I've ever asked for. So, you know, I guess the big question is, this still represents the best value for money bike you can get in terms of what you get for the money that you're putting down. You can't beat it. The one thing that sold me on this is that I got all that, but I also got a warranty with it, and as it stands, that warranty has meant next to nothing to me. It's failed. It's only meant more stress. The days I've taken off work have lost me more money than if I just bought the spare part and paid a local dealer to install them for me, repair shop to install them for me. So if I had to choose again, I have to admit I'd probably go, as much as I love this thing, I'd probably buy maybe like a second-hand GS, as long as it had the cruise control, spoke tubeless tyres, the heated grips and seat, yeah, and just the comfort, the ability to tour, to do those long trips that I've really fallen in love with this year. Then I'd choose that over one of these brand new in a heartbeat. A GS, or I think a 2024 Africa Twin or beyond. Anyway, they're my thoughts, opinions. Would love to know yours. Fantastic bike, and there's not much more I can say about it other than that. But thanks for tuning in. Alright, bye. Couple more things just before I sign off completely on my review about the bike. I just want to touch on the debacle with the app. I think that's been so poorly handled by CFMOTO. Putting it behind a paywall after selling it to us as a feature that was all-inclusive in the purchase price of the bike. That's a pretty bad faith act. Personally, I like the app. I like using it. I use it regularly. I like the peace of mind of having it. I hate the fact that they're putting aspects of it that I don't think should ever be behind a paywall, like the firmware updates. I think that's pretty poor. and I wish they had not made that decision, because it didn't make the company look very good. What's even worse and more insult to injury is that they sort of haven't done that for the US. It's only for the rest of the world. So I don't know what makes us different, but apparently the US gets preferential treatment regarding the app. I mean, I've still got 2 years to go or like it was 2 years from April or August or whatever, until it comes online and I have to start paying for it to use it. But the fact that I will more than likely be moving this bike on then and selling it to someone who will have to pay for that feature kind of bothers me a little bit. I don't know. Let me know what you think. It's an ethical dilemma, and I don't know how they come about to make these decisions, but I think it was a hastily made poor decision. And last but not least, I just sort of parked the bike up and just looking at it. I haven't washed it since I got back from Sydney, but damn, I think that's a good looking bike. Let me know what you think. And as always, thanks for tuning in. There's no pressure to like or subscribe. Yeah, if you enjoy my stuff, enjoy it. If you don't, do what some people do and leave a dislike and go about your day, and I'll cry myself to sleep. Alright, thanks very much, and ride safe everyone. See ya.